The big N, Netflix. And yeah, what's going on over there? So we're going to jump right into this article. This is on collider.com. Ouch, Netflix loses over 50 billion after announcing subscription losses and price increases. Time will tell how the streamer will recover from this. So, we've talked about Netflix in the past on this show, and we've said, hey, Netflix has a interesting business model, of course, but it looks like now things are kind of coming to bear. They're saying, yeah, we're getting some password sharing, so that's cutting into our viewership. But I think there's bigger problems that Netflix has. I want to hear your thoughts just right off the gate. What do you think's going on over there at the Big N?
I think that some of this woke stuff and all this SJW stuff that they've been pushing is finally caught up to them, and now you've been able to fudge the numbers for so long because the demand was there because you had viewership, quote unquote. And remember, they don't share their numbers really, the true numbers. It's just an idea they throw out, sort of like. I believe Cisco does that, and some other companies do that. They don't have to tell all their numbers, like as far as demographics, what they hire, and all that stuff, because they're just like they get a pass.
Right.
This is one of those things. This is one of those fluff and puff things, and I just feel like they dropped the ball on really being transparent. And as an investor, which I'm not, but as an investor, you think, man, I hope the numbers, everything looks good. Everything's running as usual, right? Until you let everybody know, hey, man, the
Hmm.
people that make great French fries don't have French fry oil. Well, what have
Yeah.
you been doing? I've been baking the fries the whole time. What? You know, uh, I don't know. Yeah, I think you said $50 billion. $1 billion is that's a lot, man,
That's
to
a
lose.
huge chunk of change, man, for Netflix, which is, like we talked about them, they're kind of like one of the big foreign streaming services right alongside Amazon, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. And right now, I think one of the biggest issues is that, when you look at Netflix, like, who do they have that they can say, like, this is our legacy franchise that we could kind of build upon? You got HBO Max, they got Disney, or excuse me, they got DC. They have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, so they kind of got that. Plus, they got their own stuff like Game of Thrones that they've come up with. You look at Disney Plus, obviously with Star Wars and Marvel, and then even Amazon, they're about to add Lord of the Rings. They've been doing pretty good work with like the indie comic, kind of franchises, like these legacy franchises that you can continue to build on. They got the Jack Ryan character itself, so you have like a lot going on with those. When you look at Netflix, it's like, okay, Netflix is good for like these one-offs, like Stranger Things. They'll, do something with that. I know they got the Umbrella Academy, but that's really never been a thing for me. I've never really been into that, but I know other people do like it. So I'm thinking like Netflix needs kind of like a legacy kind of franchise that's built up equity over the years with their fan base, and they need to land something like that. And they were doing good when they had Marvel, but what do you think? Does Netflix need something like that where the fans are like, okay, they're gonna be the home of my franchise, that I love, are they going to be the home of that? And now that'll kind of keep them going so that, when you watch some of their other material, it's like, okay, I can watch a little, if they throw off like a Stranger Things, if they have another Stranger Things or another type of show like that, that I'll still come back for that. But it's that like kind of landmark benchmark franchise that they need to build upon. What do you think?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think they do need a franchise. I think they need to push those hard. I think that they just are. I think that they just don't have. They just don't have the engine. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have the engine for the big car that they become. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They went from being a small Pinto. For those who don't know, that's a small car. I'll just tell you. They went from being a small Pinto to this freaking excursion, and they don't make
Yeah.
excursions anymore.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
extinct, right?
Yeah.
Because what
I used to own an
they
excursion, man. That's
man.
love that car, man. You could put everything in that thing, man. It was
Right, right.
it
You
was
can
a
put a
gas
house in that
guzzler.
car,
Heck yeah, it
right?
was a gas guzzler, but yeah, it was a nice vehicle.
Total. total
Yeah.
gas guzzler, right? Just like the Suburban, you know what I mean? Ooh,
Yeah.
man. Ugh.
Ooh,
But
man.
this thing is just, I don't think they have, I agree, D. You're right, dude. They just don't have their model. They got too much without a standard print. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got nothing that even though they have their big flicks version of it's really, oh man, it's really, really hit or miss with that, man. They got a lot
Yeah.
of hits, man. They got a lot of miss, you know.
Well,
Uh,
and they cancel a lot of the shows. Like a lot of their shows that take off and do well and fans like, they end up cutting them and canceling them. And I've never understood that. Like,
right.
some of the stuff that they do that they made, like, like the Cowboy Bebop anime kind of, reinvention of that show, and then a couple of other, anime shows that they've kind of had. Death Note, I think, was another one they did try to do a live action. Like, they never seem to land on those. They do well with like Squid Games, but they kind of missed the mark on some of these other ones. So it's like it's always hit and miss with the, Netflix, which is why I feel like a actual, like, legitimate franchise is needed. Now, another point that I wanted to bring up, and I want to hear what your thoughts are on this, T. What do you think about that binging model, right? Like, they drop everything at once, and then you got to binge it out. You can binge it out over a weekend. You can watch each episode, whatever. It kind of gives you more flexibility. But what do you think about them, getting rid of that particular model and going more with what HBO Max does, Disney Plus, where it's like, hey, we're just releasing these week after week episodes. So it's like you got to come back. You can't just get rid of this after the weekend is done and you've, binge watched the entire thing. It's like, all right, that's it. I'm done with this. I'll check the next one. Now you actually have to hang in there every week. You got to come back, and that keeps them for the
I
next
don't
eight
like that.
weeks.
I'm not a fan of that, D. And I think I've told you before, man. I don't like that. Because I feel like I'm paying for a service. I'm paying premium dollar for a service. I ought to be able to see it right then and there. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
think the buzz and waiting week to week is just not cool. The reason why they're Netflix is because they sell binge. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna come up with the brilliant idea to call themselves binge. You know what I mean? And um, because you have to you're dealing with a public that feeds off of this. If they like a product, they're addicted to it, man. They're
Yeah.
addicted to it. I know I am. If I like something, man, I'm gonna go back, dude. Hey, I bought Steve Madden shoes back in 2003. I'm a Steve Madden shopper for life. You know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
gonna have every pair of Steve Madden, but I'll go back there because I know the brand and I'm like, okay, I trust it, right? Just like if I go to somewhere else, man, they make something, man. If they make dashikis the way I like, man. Oh man, I like this quality I can trust. There's something to be said about Netflix because of how they've been able to maneuver, man. I remember getting them in a disc, man, a DVD, dude. I got Monster
Right.
Squad on a DVD
Yeah.
back in the
Back
day,
in the
right?
day, man, that's how you
And it
did
was
it.
great, right?
Yeah.
And they still have their DVD service too. It's rare, man, but they still do that too. But you just they have to, man, it's so hard because they're not just a private business, they're not private equity, they're big,
They got
um
shareholders that they got to respond to.
right,
Yeah.
of course they got shareholders,
And they
but
losing $50 billion. So if you are in the
right.
on the boardroom of Netflix, like, what are you talking about right now? Are you saying, hey man, we got to change up the way we do business? Are you gonna say we got to start dropping these shows every week because that's gonna at least keep people for 8 weeks? People ain't just gonna be able to binge it in one weekend and be out of there. They're gonna have to actually watch it for 8 weeks. And another thing, I'm gonna hear your thoughts on that, but I got another point to make on that. What do you think if you're in the boardroom? Are you talking to them about changing your business model?
You obviously have to. I think that they they need to I'm just I'm just
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
spitballing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh Focus on keeping the customer happy, give them the pickle.
yeah.
Got to get when you start making these changes, you that $50 billion is nothing. That's nothing to
Mm.
them. Trust me. I don't know. People are just putting the number on things so everybody can panic and say, "Oh my gosh, something is about to change." No, I don't think anything will change ultimately because the board is going to say, "Wait a minute, this is going to drive our base away." They got plenty of other options at different price points that they're going to go to anyway. You know, don't worry about it. They need to react to this. Excuse me. They need to respond
Hmm.
to this. How the music industry responded to and responded to iTunes. Hey, you know what? It's gonna be here. Once those rappers and everybody entertainers they relaxed and said, you know what, man, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? In fact, I want it to happen. Do what you're gonna do. The thing is, you have to not sweat it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Say, hey man, they're gonna come. You have to have a field of dreams mentality. If I build it, they're gonna come, dude.
Hmm.
If I build the arena, they're gonna be in it. I just got to wait for them to fill up because I know that I've got the best product on the market.
Do they though? If you don't
They
have a big
don't have the best.
franchise, if you don't have a big franchise, and if your fans or the people that do have you are dropping you like flies because, like you said very early in this talk, the woke stuff is just kind of turning them off. And you tried to reinvent anime, that didn't work. You got a lot of shows that you just drop, and fans like, hey man, we love this show, and you're dropping shows left and right. That's not working. Okay, like what are you bringing in to say, hey, we're still competing with Disney Plus? When Disney took that Marvel stuff off of Netflix, when Netflix lost that stuff and they brought it over to Disney Plus, that was a huge move. That was a huge move because now it's like, well, we don't have anything Marvel over here. If I want to watch these shows, I like Daredevil myself. So if I want to go watch Daredevil, I guess I got to get Disney Plus. If I want to watch seasons 1, 2, and 3 of that show, or if I want to go watch Luke Cage or anything like that, like they don't have a landmark franchise. And that's why I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this idea? Nintendo, they don't really have like a home for their like product, like in terms of, hey, we could throw all of our Nintendo produced television shows, cartoons, if we got movies coming up soon. What if we said, hey, you know what, they're about to launch a new theme park? What if Nintendo said, hey, Netflix, let's sit down, let's figure out something that we could do? There's a franchise right there that's hugely popular, and I think they're about to get started because there's a Mario Brothers movie dropping later this year. I think they're about to get started. Wouldn't that be interesting if Netflix and Nintendo came up to some sort of an agreement where you're going to house all of our new like movies, TV shows? We'll gather all of the old stuff, we'll throw it on Netflix, and then that'll be the home of Nintendo Entertainment. What do you think about that idea?
I, mm,
Video games are still big. Video games are still big. Nintendo's
well,
still a
they're,
big
they're
property.
they're they're coming with their video game version, right? They're coming with their video game
And they're
version. So,
connecting. Yeah, Netflix is going to kind of have a connection with
right?
video games and stuff. So maybe that's the opportunity that you're looking for. Hey, let's go and talk to these guys and see, because video game movies, I think, are going to start taking off. I think they're going to start having a huge like impact on Hollywood. So I don't know. What do you think about that? You seem a little skeptical right now.
I'm just, I don't, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to do that Twitch model, man, and be like, okay, maybe like 'cause Twitch has momentum.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't. I think that, like I said, I started this whole segment off of. I think they fudged the numbers. I think they fudged the numbers, and now they've got to deal with the
And it's
consequences.
catching up
You
with
got
them.
to deal with
Okay.
the consequences. You had demand there. You live in a consumer addicted home entertainment environment now.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave their homes. Why do I need to watch this? Remember, we were talking about this before off camera.
Mm-hmm.
What man? What's the show that I said, man, I can't wait to see the next one. The
Yeah.
last show I can recall to maybe do that was Peacemaker.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know of any other show to make you say, man, I'm on the edge of my seats, man. Man, I used
Right.
to do that with Family Ties, dude. I used to watch that with, like, man, I can't wait to see what Alex is gonna do next, man.
Right.
Let me see what they're gonna do on Family. What's gonna do? What are they gonna do on Elf? I don't feel that with these shows, man.
I agree.
They're not that good.
I agree. I agree. All right, folks, what do you think about this Netflix situation? Is Netflix in trouble? Are they gonna, are they about to like fall completely out of the mix when it comes to the big four streamers? Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. All right, T, we're gonna move on.